3 days after my wife kicked me out,
Why me?
I watched her face turn completely white as she looked at the contract signature. My signature. And that's when her $33 million empire started to fall apart. Let me take you back to where this all started. The champagne bottle popped so loud I thought it would break the fancy light on our ceiling. My wife, Khloe, stood in our kitchen. The kitchen I had fixed up with my own hands 3 years ago. She was holding an expensive bottle of champagne that cost more than what we paid for our house each month. $33 million, Williams. She laughed in a way I had never heard before. Sounded mean. 33 million. I stood at the door holding 2 bags of groceries. I was watching this woman who looked like my wife but didn't act like her anymore. We had been married for 12 years. 12 whole years of building a life together. Or at least that's what I thought. But right then, watching champagne spill on the kitchen counter I had put in myself, I realized something terrible. I had been building our life alone. That's amazing, Khloe, I said, putting down the bags. Inside was her favorite food. Wild salmon, asparagus, and the dark chocolate she loved to eat late at night when she was working. The Meridian Tower project? They said yes. She looked at me, really looked at me, and something changed in her eyes. She looked at me the way you look at old furniture you want to throw away. Not just yes. They fast-tracked it. I get full control, unlimited money, and a huge bonus that's going to change everything. She poured champagne into 1 glass. Just 1 glass. Not 2. This is the biggest building deal in the city's history, Williams. Do you understand what that means? It means all your hard work finally worked, I said. I tried to hug her, to celebrate with her like I thought we would when this big moment finally came. She stepped away from me. It means I don't need to settle anymore. The words hung in the air like smoke. I felt them before I understood what they meant. Settle? I said. My voice sounded small. Khloe drank all her champagne in 3 big gulps. She put the glass down hard and pulled out her phone. Her thumbs moved across the screen fast, like when she drew building plans. Fast. Efficient. Cold. I've been thinking about this for a while, she said, not looking up. We've grown apart, Williams. We want different things. You're okay with being average, and I am just getting started. Average. The word tasted bad in my mouth. Khloe, I've supported every single one of your dreams. When you wanted to quit your job to start your own company, who worked extra shifts to pay our bills? When you needed money for your first project, who took out a loan from his retirement savings? And I'm grateful for that. But she didn't sound grateful at all. But being grateful isn't enough to stay married. You're a high school guidance counselor, Williams. You make $47,000 a year. I'm about to close a $33 million deal. We're not in the same league anymore. Every word felt like a knife. I knew Khloe was ambitious. I loved that about her. But I had never seen this version of her. The one who measured love in money. I want you out by the end of the week, she said. Her voice was steady like a doctor cutting someone open. My lawyer will send you the divorce papers. I'm being generous. You can keep your car, your stuff, and I'll give you 3 months to find a place. That's more than fair since this house is in my name. Your name. I felt like I was drowning. We bought this house together. We bought it with my signing bonus from my old job. Check the papers, Williams. You'll see only my name. I made sure of that. She smiled, but her eyes weren't smiling. I've always been good with details. My legs felt weak. I grabbed the counter for support. The counter I had spent weeks putting in. This can't be about money. We've been happy. Last month, you said. Last month, I didn't have a $33 million contract. She picked up her phone again, already forgetting about me. Things change. People grow. I've grown beyond what we had. You should be happy for me. Happy for you? My voice cracked. You're throwing away 12 years of marriage and I should be happy for you? I'm giving you a chance to find someone more appropriate for your situation. She turned toward the door, stopped, and looked back at me. Pack your things, Williams. If you're not out by Sunday, I'll have you removed. I know a very good lawyer. She left the room. Her high heels clicked on the wooden floors I had refinished. Upstairs, I heard her on the phone. Her voice was bright and happy as she told her success story to someone else. Someone who wasn't me. I stood alone in our kitchen, surrounded by groceries I had bought to celebrate her big win, and I tried to remember when exactly I became trash to her. I slept in the guest room that night, or I tried to sleep. Really, I just lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling, counting the hours until morning. Khloe's words played over and over in my mind. Average. Different leagues. Grown beyond what we had. At 6 in the morning, I heard her getting ready through the wall. Shower running. Hair dryer humming. The click of her closet door as she picked out her power suit for the day. By 7, she was gone. No good view. No second thoughts. Just the sound of her car pulling out of our driveway, leaving me in the echo of our broken life. I called in sick to work. 23 years as a guidance counselor, and I had never called in sick unless I was really dying. But that day, I felt like I was dying inside. My boss, Mr. Chun, heard something wrong in my voice and didn't ask questions. Let's make the comment section an interactive one. Tell us where you are watching from. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. I spent the morning pulling clothes from our shared closet. My clothes seemed to take up so little space compared to hers. 3 suits for parent meetings, a dozen shirts, jeans that were soft from years of wearing them. Everything fit into 2 large suitcases with room left over. In the back of the closet, behind Khloe's expensive shoe collection, I found a box. It was small, made of wood, with brass corners I had polished myself. Inside were our memories, or what I thought were our memories. Ticket stubs from our first date at the music hall. The napkin where I had drawn a terrible picture of a house while we talked about our future. Her graduation photo from architecture school with my note on the back that said, "You're going to change the world. I'm just lucky I get to watch." There was also a letter. I had forgotten about it. A sealed envelope tucked under the photos. Khloe's handwriting on the front said, "To Williams, for our 10th anniversary." We had celebrated our 10th anniversary 2 years ago at Moretti's, the Italian restaurant where I had asked her to marry me. She had given me a watch. Expensive. Not personal. Probably picked by her assistant. I had given her a weekend trip to the bed and breakfast where we spent our honeymoon. She canceled it 3 days later, saying she had a work deadline. I had never seen this letter. My hands shook as I opened it. The paper inside was thick and expensive. Khloe never did anything halfway. The letter said, "Williams, by the time you read this, you'll probably have figured out who I really am. I'm not the woman you married. That woman was a carefully constructed performance, a necessary step to get where I need to go. You were convenient, stable, safe. You gave me the foundation I needed to build my empire without the distraction of worrying about money. Your steady income, your unwavering support, your complete lack of ambition. It all served its purpose. I don't expect you to understand. People like you never do. You're content with small dreams and smaller victories. But I was made for more than potluck dinners and suburban life. I was made to dominate. If you're reading this now, it means I've achieved something big enough that I don't need you anymore. Don't take it personally. It was always going to end this way. I just needed you to last long enough to get me here. Thank you for your service. K." The letter fell from my fingers. It was dated 8 years ago. 2 years into our marriage. Before we bought the house. Before I took out the loan for her company. Before I stood by her through every late night, every problem, every moment when she doubted herself, and I was the one to remind her how smart she was. She had planned this from the beginning. I was never her husband. I was her investment. And now that she had cashed out, I was trash to be thrown away. I didn't tell anyone. Not my brother Daniel, who always thought Khloe was cold. Not my best friend Tyrone, who warned me at the wedding that something felt off. Not even my mother, who cried when I announced our engagement. Not from joy, I realized years later, but from worry. Pride is a strange thing. Even as my world fell apart, I couldn't stand the thought of people knowing I had been a fool for 12 years. Instead, I went to work. I smiled at students. I helped Jennifer Caldwell figure out her college applications. I talked Marcus Chin Jr. through his worries about SAT scores. I did my job, the job Khloe had called average, and I tried not to think about how I had failed at the most important thing in my life. At lunch, I sat in my office and looked up the Meridian Tower contract on the internet. It was all over the business news. Local architect lands historic deal. Khloe Pierce, the woman changing our skyline. From small company to major player, how Pierce and Associates won the contract of a lifetime. Pierce and Associates. She had dropped my last name from her business 2 years ago. I thought it was for branding. Turns out it was just another step in erasing me. The articles talked about the project. A mixed-use tower that would change the city's waterfront, combining luxury homes, stores, and public art. It was visionary. It was exactly the kind of project Khloe had dreamed about when we stayed up late in our first apartment, her sketching while I helped her memorize building codes. One article mentioned the client, Atlas Global Developments, a massive international real estate company known for only working with the absolute best. The CEO, the article said, was famously picky about partnerships. He had reportedly looked at 50 proposals before picking Khloe's. His name was listed at the bottom. Charles Richardson, CEO and chairman. The name meant nothing to me, but something about it stuck in my mind, like a splinter I couldn't pull out. I closed the browser and opened my desk drawer. Inside was the folder I had been working on for months. Application materials for the assistant principal position that had opened up at Westside High. Better pay, more responsibility, a chance to make a bigger difference. Khloe had laughed when I mentioned it. "Oh, Williams, you're not seriously considering that, are you? It's barely more money and twice the stress. Why bother?" I had dropped it, like I had dropped so many things over the years. I took out the application, filled it out in my careful handwriting, and dropped it in the mail on my way home. Maybe Khloe was right. Maybe I was average. But at least I was trying to be better. She had stopped trying years ago. She just got better at pretending. The lawyer's envelope arrived at breakfast. I was making coffee when the doorbell rang. A woman in a gray suit handed me a thick envelope without any expression. "Williams Pierce." "Yes. You've been served. Have a good day." She was back in her car before I could say anything. Inside were the divorce papers, exactly like Khloe promised. The terms were brutal in how efficient they were. I got my car, my personal stuff, and 30 days to leave the house. She kept everything else. The house, the savings, the investments. Even the furniture we bought together was listed as hers alone. There was a note attached to the front. It said, "Sign these and return them within 48 hours. If you fight anything, my lawyers will bury you. You can't afford to fight me, Williams. Don't be stupid." She was right. I couldn't afford to fight her. My entire savings account had $17,000. She had just signed a $33 million deal. This wasn't a negotiation. It was an execution, and I had already been sentenced. I was about to sign when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Mr. Pierce." The voice was professional, male, unfamiliar. "This is Sebastian Torres from Torres and Chin Legal. I represent your interests in the matter of your divorce from Khloe Pierce." "I don't have a lawyer." "You do now, sir." "Pro bono." "Free. I've been hired by a third party who wishes to remain anonymous, but has a strong interest in making sure you get fair representation." "I don't understand." "Who would?" "I'm not allowed to say, But I've looked at the divorce papers you got this morning, and I need you to do something very important, Mr. Pierce. Do not sign them. Not yet. There are complications with Mrs. Pierce's contract that may affect the settlement. What kind of complications? The kind I can't discuss over the phone. Can you meet me at my office this afternoon? 2 o'clock. I looked at the unsigned papers in my hand, at Khloe's threatening note. Yes, I'll be there. Excellent. And Mr. Pierce? Bring any documents you have related to Mrs. Pierce's business dealings. Contracts, emails, anything you might have kept. Why would I have? You'd be surprised what spouses keep without realizing it. 2 o'clock, Mr. Pierce. Don't be late. He hung up before I could ask more questions. I spent the next 3 hours searching the house. Khloe had always been careful about keeping her work separate, but 12 years of marriage leaves traces everywhere. In the home office, I found old hard drives from computers we had replaced. In the attic, boxes of papers she meant to throw away but never did. In the garage, filing cabinets she had stored when she moved her company to a larger office. I loaded everything into my car. I didn't know what I was looking for, but Sebastian Torres sounded like he did. Torres and Chin Legal was on the 15th floor of the Madison building downtown. Sebastian Torres was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and a handshake that felt both sympathetic and determined. Thank you for coming, Mr. Pierce. I know this must be confusing. That's an understatement. Who hired you? Why? First, let me ask you something. Did your wife ever discuss the details of the Meridian Tower contract with you?
No.
She said I wouldn't understand the complexities of commercial real estate development. Sebastian nodded like this confirmed something. Did she ever mention Atlas Global Developments specifically? Or their CEO, Charles Richardson? I saw the name in the news. Why? Sebastian pulled out a folder and set it on the desk between us. Because Charles Richardson is not just the CEO of Atlas Global. He's also your wife's first cousin. The words didn't make sense at first. I stared at him, waiting for the joke. That's impossible. Khloe's family. She doesn't have any cousins. Her parents were both only children. She told me. She lied. Sebastian opened the folder and pulled out a document. Khloe Hartwell Richardson was born in Connecticut to Margaret Richardson, Charles Richardson's aunt. When Khloe was 16, her parents died in a car accident. She was raised by her grandmother, who also died when Khloe was 22, 6 months before she met you. She told me her family died when she was young, that she had no one. Technically true, but she forgot to mention the trust fund, or the fact that her cousin Charles had been managing her inheritance until she turned 25, or the fact that he had been preparing her for years to join the family business. I felt sick. Why are you telling me this? Because the Meridian Tower contract isn't a normal business deal, Mr. Pierce. It's family favoritism dressed up as merit. Charles Richardson handpicked his cousin for this project. The 50 proposals he supposedly reviewed? Theater. Fake. The contract was Khloe's from the beginning, part of a larger family business strategy. That doesn't... Why does it matter? She got the contract. She's leaving me. What difference does it make how she got it? Sebastian leaned forward. It matters because there's a clause in the contract. A morality clause, specifically. Atlas Global has a strict policy about family favoritism and conflicts of interest. If it becomes public that Charles Richardson gave this contract to his cousin without telling anyone, the contract is void. All $33 million disappear. And Atlas Global has grounds to sue both Khloe and Charles for fraud. My mind raced. But why would anyone make this public? That depends on you, Mr. Pierce. Sebastian slid another document across the desk. I did some digging after my client hired me. Over the last 12 years, you've contributed significantly to your wife's business. Not just with money, but with ideas. You helped write her initial business plan. You edited her proposals. You consulted on several projects, including early concepts for the Meridian Tower. She'd talk about ideas and I'd give feedback. It wasn't. In legal terms, you've been an unpaid consultant and business partner, which means you have a legitimate claim to a portion of her business assets, including the Meridian Tower contract. I don't want her money. Don't you? Sebastian's face softened. Mr. Pierce, I've seen the divorce papers she sent you. She's trying to leave you with nothing after 12 years of marriage. After you bankrupted yourself to support her dreams. After you gave up opportunities because she told you they weren't important. Don't you think you deserve better than that? I thought about the letter I found. Thank you for your service. Like our marriage had been a job I completed. What do you want me to do? Sign a new divorce agreement. One that gives you half of the marital assets, including 50% of Khloe's business and all future earnings from contracts secured during your marriage, including Meridian Tower. She'll never agree to that. Sebastian smiled. She will when she learns the alternative is losing everything. See, my client has documented evidence of the relationship between Khloe and Charles Richardson. Evidence that proves the contract was family favoritism, not merit. If that evidence goes public, Khloe loses the contract, Charles loses his job, and Atlas Global sues them both for fraud. But you said your client wants to remain anonymous. Who would do this? Who even knows about? All in good time, Mr. Pierce. For now, I need to know. Are you willing to fight for what you deserve? I looked at the new divorce agreement, at the terms that would give me half of everything Khloe tried to take. Part of me wanted to walk away, to let her have her victory. That's what the old Williams would have done. The average Williams, the one who settled. But I thought about the letter. I thought about 12 years of being used. I thought about how she looked at me in our kitchen like I was garbage to be thrown away. I'm willing, I said. Sebastian's smile got bigger. Then let's destroy her. Khloe came home at 7. I heard her car in the driveway, the click of her heels on the walkway. She was humming as she unlocked the door. I was waiting in the living room, the new divorce agreement on the coffee table between us. Oh, you're still here. She set down her briefcase, didn't even bother to hide her disappointment. I thought you'd have started packing by now. We need to talk. We really don't. Just sign the papers and go, Williams. I'm not in the mood for another one of your emotional scenes. I'm not signing your papers. She froze, then slowly turned to face me. Excuse me? I stood up and picked up the new agreement. I'm signing these instead. My lawyer sent them over. You'll find the terms quite different from yours. Khloe grabbed the document from my hands. Her eyes scanned the pages. I watched her face change. Confusion, then shock, then pure rage. 50%? You want 50% of my business? My contracts? Are you insane? Actually, I think I'm being quite reasonable. We were married 12 years. I supported you financially and with ideas. Those contracts you're so proud of? I helped shape them. I have documentation proving it. You did nothing. She threw the papers at me. They fell to the ground like broken wings. I built this company. I got these contracts. You were just there. Just there. Supporting you. Believing in you. Sacrificing my own career because you said yours was more important. I kept my voice calm, which only made her more furious. But here's what's really interesting, Khloe. Or should I call you Khloe Richardson? All the color left her face. That's right. I know about your cousin Charles. I know the Meridian Tower contract wasn't awarded on merit. I know about the trust fund, the family business connections, all of it. You don't know anything. But her voice shook. I know enough. And more importantly, so does my lawyer. And if you don't sign this new agreement, that information becomes public. The contract gets canceled for family favoritism and conflict of interest. You lose everything. Charles loses his job. Atlas Global sues you both for fraud. It'll be the biggest business scandal this city has seen in decades. Khloe's hands were fists at her sides. You wouldn't dare. You're too weak, too pathetic to what? To stand up for myself? Maybe you're right. Maybe I have been weak. But I'm done now. I picked up the papers from the floor and set them back on the table. You have 48 hours to sign. If you don't, my lawyer releases the evidence. This is blackmail. No, this is justice. You used me for 12 years. Now it's time to pay what you owe. Khloe stared at me like she had never seen me before. Who told you about Charles? Who's your lawyer? Who's doing this? Does it matter? Sign the papers, Khloe. It's over. She grabbed her briefcase and ran toward the stairs. I'll fight this. I'll destroy you. You'll lose. I said it quietly, but she heard me. Because for once, I'm not backing down. She disappeared upstairs. I heard her on the phone, her voice rising as she called someone. Probably her lawyer, probably Charles. But I didn't care anymore. I had spent 12 years being someone else's stepping stone. Tomorrow I would start being something more. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? I had just gone to war with the woman I loved for 12 years. The woman who never loved me back. At 9 in the morning, my phone rang. Sebastian Torres. She's agreed to meet. Neutral location. Her lawyer will be there. She's going to sign? Her lawyer told her to fight. But Charles Richardson called her personally this morning. Apparently, he's not willing to risk his career and reputation for her pride. He told her to settle. So it's over? The meeting is at noon. Her lawyer is going to make one last push to reduce your percentage. Be ready to stand firm. I will. And Mr. Pierce? My client wanted me to tell you something. They said you deserve to know who's been helping you. Who is it? You'll find out at the meeting. They're going to be there. The conference room at Torres and Chun Legal felt like a courtroom. Khloe sat on one side of the long table with her lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia Chun. Sebastian and I sat on the other side. There was one empty chair at the head of the table. Khloe wouldn't look at me. Good. I didn't want to see her face. Patricia started with the expected speech. The agreement was unreasonable. Her client had built her business independently. There was no legal basis for my claims. Sebastian fought back with documentation. My early business plan notes. Emails where Khloe had asked for my input on major decisions. Bank records showing my money contributions. A timeline proving that many of her major contracts had been won through connections I helped her make. But the real weapon was the file on Charles Richardson. Birth certificates, family trees, private emails between Khloe and Charles discussing the Meridian Tower project months before the public request for proposals had been released. Evidence of insider information, special treatment, and family favoritism that would make any scandal look small. Patricia's confidence fell apart with each new document. My client is willing to negotiate, she finally said. There's nothing to negotiate, Sebastian replied. She signs or we release the evidence. Those are the only two options. The door opened. A man walked in. Late 50s, gray hair, expensive suit. He moved like someone used to being in charge, to having people jump when he spoke. I believe I can help with this discussion, he said. Khloe stood up so fast her chair fell backward. What are you doing here? The man smiled. It wasn't a friendly look. Hello, Khloe. It's been a long time. I stared at him, at Khloe's reaction, trying to understand. Sebastian leaned over and whispered, Williams Pierce, meet your mystery helper. I don't understand. Who are you? The man held out his hand. David Richardson, Charles's older brother, Khloe's other cousin. The one she tried to erase from family history when she decided to tie herself to Charles's rising star instead of mine. Khloe's face was white. You can't be here. You have no right. I have every right. David took the empty seat at the head of the table, making it clear who was in control. See, Williams, here's what my dear cousin didn't tell you. 20 years ago, Charles and I were co-CEOs of Atlas Global, running the company our grandfather built. Then Charles decided he wanted sole control. He made up a scandal, framed me for financial crimes I didn't commit, and forced me out. That's not, Khloe started. I have evidence proving it was Charles's plan. Evidence I've been sitting on for 2 decades, waiting for the right moment. David looked at me. When I heard through mutual friends that Khloe was finalizing a major deal with Charles, I started paying attention. And when I learned she was divorcing the husband who had supported her all these years, I saw an opportunity. Opportunity for what? I asked. Revenge. Justice. Call it what you want. David pulled out another file and slid it across the table to Khloe. This contains everything I need to expose Charles for what he did to me. Combined with the evidence of your family favoritism deal, it's enough to destroy him. To take everything he stole from me. But you're using me, I said, understanding now. You don't care about my divorce. You just want to hurt your brother. True. David met my eyes. I am using you, but I'm also giving you something you need. The means to fight back against someone who's been using you far worse than I ever could. And unlike Khloe, I'm being honest about it. The silence in the room was loud. So here's how this works, David continued. Khloe signs Williams's agreement. She gets to keep the Meridian contract, but she shares the profits with her ex-husband. She stays wealthy and successful, just not ridiculously so. In exchange, I don't release the evidence about her family favoritism deal or the information about Charles's fraud. Everyone walks away damaged but alive. Or, Patricia asked, or I blow it all up. Charles goes to prison for fraud. Khloe loses everything for family favoritism. Atlas Global collapses in the scandal. Hundreds of people lose their jobs. The Meridian Tower project gets canceled, taking down every contractor and subcontractor involved. David smiled. I don't care if I burn the whole city down as long as Charles burns with it. Khloe sank into her chair. You're a monster. I learned from the best. Sign the papers, Khloe. She looked at her lawyer. Patricia reviewed the documents one more time, then nodded sadly. It's this or prison, Khloe. Sign. Khloe picked up the pen. Her hand shook as she wrote her name on the bottom of each page. When she finished, she threw the pen at me. It bounced off my chest and fell to the floor. I hope you're happy, she said with hate in her voice. You've ruined everything. No, I said quietly. You did that yourself. 3 months later, I moved into a nice apartment in the Arts District. 2 bedrooms. One for me, one for an office where I work on the book I started writing. My therapist says it's healthy to process pain through writing. I'm not sure if that's true, but it feels good to tell my story on my own terms. The divorce settlement gives me a monthly payment from Khloe's business earnings. It's not $33 million, but it's enough that I don't have to worry about money anymore. I took the assistant principal job at Westside High. Turns out I'm actually pretty good at it. Who knew? Khloe's business is doing well, despite everything. The Meridian Tower project is underway, and early pictures look amazing. She's even won 2 more contracts, both legitimate. She's learned to succeed without family favoritism, without schemes. Maybe that's its own kind of growth. We don't speak. The lawyers handle everything. But I heard through mutual friends that she's dating someone new. A tech entrepreneur, apparently. Someone in her league. I hope he knows what he's getting into. As for David Richardson, he kept his word. He didn't release the damaging evidence about Charles. But he didn't need to. 6 weeks after our meeting, Charles Richardson resigned as CEO of Atlas Global, citing personal reasons and a desire to spend more time with family. Word is that David gave the board just enough information to make them uncomfortable, but not enough to trigger a full investigation. David offered me a job. He started a new development company and wanted someone with educational background to help with community outreach. I said no. I've been used enough for one lifetime. But I thanked him for his help, and I meant it. Sometimes your enemy's enemies really are your friends, even if their reasons aren't pure. The letter, Khloe's 10-year anniversary letter, is framed on my office wall now, not as a reminder of pain, but as a reminder of lessons learned. Love isn't a transaction. Success isn't measured in dollar signs. And settling for being average isn't the same thing as choosing peace. I'm not average. I never was. I was just with someone who made me feel that way because it served her purposes. 1 year later, the call came on a Tuesday morning while I was looking at budget reports for the school district. Unknown number, but something made me answer. Williams Pierce. Yes. This is Catherine Brooks from the State Education Board. I'm calling about your grant proposal for the Mentor Excellence Program. I had sent in the proposal 6 months ago. A big mentorship system connecting high school students with professionals in their fields of interest. It was ambitious, maybe even a bit crazy. I had spent months developing it, making it perfect. I'm calling to tell you that your proposal has been approved. Full funding for a 5-year pilot program, with potential for expansion statewide if the results are good. What? Catherine laughed. Congratulations, Mr. Pierce. Your program will launch next fall. The board was unanimous in their approval. One member said it was the most thoughtful, complete educational plan she had seen in 20 years. After I hung up, I sat in my office for a long time, staring at the framed letter on my wall. You're content with small dreams and smaller victories. Khloe had been wrong about me. This wasn't a small victory. This was going to change lives. Thousands of students who might otherwise never see possibilities beyond their circumstances. This was the kind of impact that couldn't be measured in millions of dollars because its value was infinite. I picked up my phone and called the one person I wanted to share this with. Williams, how are you? Mom. I have good news. Tell me everything. And I did. Because that's what real relationships are. Mutual celebration, genuine support, unconditional love. Not transactions. Not performances. Just people showing up for each other because they want to, not because they have to. 2 years later, the email arrived on a Wednesday evening. Subject line, "You should see this." Sender, David Richardson. I almost deleted it. Despite how things worked out, I had kept my distance from David. His motivations had been clear. Revenge, not justice. I didn't want to get tangled up in whatever new scheme he was running. But something made me open it. Inside was a link to a news article. Atlas Global CEO Charles Richardson indicted for fraud, money laundering, and stealing company money. I clicked through. The article detailed years of financial crimes. Far worse than the family favoritism deal with Khloe. Charles had been stealing money from company projects, lying on reports, creating fake shell companies. The evidence had come from an anonymous whistleblower who had given prosecutors decades of documentation. The whistleblower, the article noted, had been granted immunity in exchange for testimony. I called David. "I was wondering when I'd hear from you," he answered. "You were the whistleblower. Took me 2 years to compile everything in a way that would hold up in court. But yes, I finally brought him down. The way I should have done 20 years ago." Khloe cooperated fully. Her deal with Charles was small compared to his other crimes. She'll face some fines, but no criminal charges. "Why didn't you do this 2 years ago? Why wait?" David was quiet for a moment. "Because 2 years ago I just wanted revenge. I wanted Charles to hurt. But watching you fight for yourself, seeing you rebuild your life on your own terms. It made me think. Revenge is empty. Justice matters. So you chose justice. Eventually. Better late than never, right? Yeah, better late than never. After we hung up, I went to my window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Khloe was dealing with the fallout from her cousin's crimes. Somewhere out there, Charles was preparing for a trial that would destroy him. And somewhere out there, David was probably celebrating a victory that had taken half his life to achieve. I felt nothing.
No satisfaction, no vindication, no triunfe.
These people had been part of my life once, but they weren't anymore. Their choices, their consequences, their drama. None of it touched me now. I had built something new, something mine. My phone rang. Jennifer Caldwell, one of my first mentorship program students, calling with news about her scholarship to MIT. I answered with a genuine smile. This was what mattered. Not revenge, not justice, not even closure. Just moving forward. Just being better than I was yesterday. Just being enough. 5 years later, the Mentor Excellence Program is now in 43 school districts across 3 states. Last year, we celebrated our 1,000th successful mentor-student match. The program has a waiting list of professionals eager to volunteer their time and skills. I'm the state director now. I gave up classroom teaching, something I never thought I'd do. But I'm impacting more students than I ever could have as a guidance counselor. I'm also remarried. Her name is Olivia. She teaches literature at the community college. We met at an education conference, bonded over terrible conference coffee, and shared frustrations about standardized testing. She knows my whole story. I told her on our 3rd date because I was done with secrets and games. She told me her story too. A similar betrayal, a similar rebuilding. We understand each other in ways that don't require explanation. We bought a small house together. Nothing fancy, but it's ours. Both our names on the deed, both our money in the down payment, both our dreams in every room. I'm installing the kitchen counters this weekend. Olivia laughs at my obsession with doing everything myself, but she understands. Creating something with your own hands matters. Khloe and I exist in different universes now. I see her occasionally in the news. She's still successful, still winning awards, still building impressive structures. Good for her. I mean that sincerely. The last time I saw her in person was at a charity event for educational funding. She was across the room, perfectly dressed, perfectly poised, surrounded by admirers. Our eyes met for a brief moment. She looked away first. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel anything except mild curiosity about why I ever thought she was the most important person in my world. Sometimes, the best revenge is building a life so full and satisfying that your enemies become irrelevant. Sometimes, winning means realizing you never needed to beat them. You just needed to find yourself. I found the letter recently while cleaning out old boxes. Khloe's 10-year anniversary note. I had kept it framed for years as a reminder, but I took it down last year. Olivia asked if I wanted to throw it away. I thought about it. Then I smiled.
No.
Let's burn it. We made a ceremony of it. My painful past becoming literal ashes. Olivia brought champagne. We toasted to new beginnings, to second chances, to lives rebuilt from ruins. As the last of the letter curled and blackened in the flames, I realized something. Khloe had been right about one thing. I had settled for being average. But only when I was with her. Only when I let someone else define my worth. Only when I believed that love meant making myself smaller so someone else could feel bigger. Now I'm extraordinary. Not because I'm rich or famous or powerful, but because I wake up every day and choose to be kind, to be generous, to be present. Because I help kids discover their potential. Because I love someone who loves me back equally. Because I built something that matters. $33 million bought Khloe a tower. But it couldn't buy her what I have. Peace, purpose, and genuine human connection. I used to think she won, that she got everything and I got nothing. But standing there with Olivia, watching my old pain disappear into smoke, I understood the truth. She didn't win. Nobody won. It was never a competition. It was just two people who were wrong for each other from the start. Two people who hurt each other in different ways. Two people who eventually found the courage to let go and become who they were always meant to be. And in the end, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. 6 months after burning that letter, I was having coffee with Olivia when my phone started exploding with notifications. Not just a few, hundreds per second. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, even my old Facebook account I had forgotten existed. Williams, what's happening? Olivia looked worried as my phone vibrated across the table like it was possessed. I opened Instagram first. My notifications were flooded with tags, comments, shares. They all pointed to the same thing. A video posted by someone named Reality Check Podcast. The thumbnail showed Khloe's face next to mine, with text that said, "She dumped her husband after $33 million deal. Then he revealed what she didn't know." My stomach dropped. Oh no! The video had been posted 4 hours ago. It already had 2.3 million views. I clicked play with shaking hands. The podcast host was a young woman with sharp eyes and even sharper commentary. So this story has been making rounds in private business circles for months. But today someone sent me the full receipts. And folks, this is insane. She proceeded to lay out my entire story. Not just the basics, but details only someone with inside access could know. The letter Khloe wrote on our 10th anniversary. The family favoritism with Charles Richardson. David's revenge scheme. Even the amount of the divorce settlement. But here's where it gets really interesting. The host continued, her eyes gleaming. Remember how Khloe Pierce has been all over social media lately, posting about self-made success and never settling for being average? About how she built her empire with no help from anyone? The screen filled with Khloe's Instagram posts. Inspirational quotes over photos of her at construction sites. "I owe my success to no one but myself. Hard work beats handouts every time. Some people make excuses. Winners make moves." Each post had hundreds of thousands of likes. "Well," the host said, "looks like Khloe forgot to mention her trust fund, her CEO cousin handing her contracts, and the husband who bankrupted himself to fund her self-made empire. Oops." The comments section was brutal. "This is why I have trust issues. The audacity of this woman. Someone check on Williams, he's a real one. She really said self-made while standing on that man's back. I hope he gets everything she deserves nothing." My phone rang. Sebastian Torres. "Have you seen it?" "I'm watching it now." "Sebastian, how did this get out?" "We had confidentiality agreements. The court records were sealed." "How?" "I don't know. But Williams, you need to prepare. This is going to get bigger before it dies down. Major media outlets are already picking up the story. Your name is trending on 3 platforms. Can we stop it? Can we? It's the internet, Williams. Once it's out there, it's out there. The question is, how do you want to respond?" Olivia grabbed my hand across the table. "You don't have to say anything. You don't owe the internet your story." She was right. I could stay silent, let the storm rage around me, wait for the next scandal to replace mine. But something David had said echoed in my mind. Revenge is empty. Justice matters. This wasn't about revenge. Khloe had already faced consequences. The divorce settlement, the fines from the Charles Richardson scandal, the damage to her reputation in business circles. She had survived all of it because she was good at her job, family favoritism aside. But she had also spent years building a personal brand on lies, positioning herself as a self-made success story while erasing everyone who had helped her, selling inspiration while standing on the backs of people she had used and thrown away. The young women who followed her, who looked up to her as a role model, who believed that ruthlessness and ambition were the same thing. They deserved to know the truth. "I want to tell my side," I said to Sebastian. Not defensively, not angry, just honest. People should know that success built on manipulation isn't success at all. That there's a cost to treating people as stepping stones. "Are you sure? Once you engage, there's no going back." I looked at Olivia. She squeezed my hand. "Whatever you decide, I'm with you." "I'm sure." I didn't hire a PR team. I didn't craft a carefully worded statement through lawyers. I did something much simpler. I made a video. Just me, sitting in my home office, the framed photo of my mentorship program's first graduating class visible behind me. No fancy editing, no dramatic music. Just truth. My name is Williams Pierce, and I want to address what's been going around online about my ex-wife Khloe and our divorce. I took a breath. Everything in that viral video is true. Khloe did leave me immediately after getting her biggest contract. She did try to take everything in the divorce, including credit for work we did together. And yes, that contract was awarded through family connections she had hidden from me for our entire marriage. But here's what I want people to understand. This isn't a story about a villain and a victim. It's a story about what happens when we measure success in dollars instead of integrity. When we convince ourselves that ambition justifies cruelty. When we treat relationships as transactions instead of partnerships. I paused, gathering my thoughts. For years, Khloe told me I was average because I chose a career in education instead of chasing money. She said I was settling because I found fulfillment in helping students instead of climbing corporate ladders. And I believed her. I let someone else define my worth. But here's what I've learned. There's nothing average about building something that matters. About showing up every day to help kids discover their potential. About creating programs that change lives in ways that can't be measured in profit margins. Khloe is brilliant. She's talented. She deserves credit for the buildings she designs and the projects she completes. But she doesn't get to rewrite history and pretend she did it alone. She doesn't get to build a brand on self-made success while erasing everyone who supported her journey. To the young women who follow her, you can be ambitious without being cruel. You can chase success without using people. You can build an empire without burning down everyone who helped you lay the foundation. Real strength isn't stepping on others. It's lifting them up while you rise. I'm not sharing this story for sympathy or revenge. I'm sharing it because I spent 12 years being told my contributions didn't matter. That my support was expected but not valued. That love meant making myself smaller so someone else could feel bigger. No one should ever feel that way. And if my story helps even one person recognize their worth, recognize when they're being used, recognize that they deserve better, then going through this publicly is worth it. I leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. Khloe, if you're watching this, I forgive you. Not because what you did was okay, but because holding on to anger was only hurting me. You taught me valuable lessons about who I want to be and who I never want to become. For that, I'm actually grateful. To everyone else, be kind, be honest, build things that matter, and never let anyone convince you that success means leaving your humanity behind. I ended the recording and uploaded it to YouTube without overthinking it. Within 2 hours, my video had 1 million views. By the end of the day, it had 15 million. The comments were overwhelming. This man just taught a masterclass in grace under pressure. The way he called her out without being bitter. King behavior. Every woman who follows Khloe needs to see this. He won by taking the high road, and I'm here for it. BRB crying about how well this man handles himself. Major news outlets picked it up. Former husband's graceful response to viral divorce story wins internet's heart. Educator's video about ex-wife sparks conversation about success and integrity. Williams Pierce, the man who turned betrayal into a teaching moment. Talk shows called. Book agents called. Motivational speaking bureaus called. Everyone wanted my story, my time, my face attached to their platform. I declined most of it, but I did accept one invitation. A TED Talk about redefining success and recognizing your worth. Because that message mattered more than any contract or media appearance. Khloe's social media went dark immediately after my video posted. Her Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything private or deleted. Her website removed all the personal brand content about being self-made. 3 days later, she released a statement through her PR team. I acknowledge that my public persona has not always reflected the full truth of my journey. I had help along the way. From family, from my ex-husband, from mentors and supporters I failed to properly credit. I apologize for the narrative I created and the people I hurt in the process. I'm taking time to reflect and refocus on the work itself rather than the image. It was corporate, calculated. Everything Khloe did was calculated. But it was also true, and truth was all I'd been asking for. The viral moment did something I never anticipated. It connected me with people who actually mattered. I received an email from Dr. Jennifer Morrison, director of the National Education Foundation. She'd seen my video and wanted to discuss expanding the Mentor Excellence program nationally, with full funding from a coalition of philanthropists who'd been moved by my story. Your message resonated with a lot of people, Williams, she said during our Zoom call. Not just the divorce story, but your philosophy about what real success looks like. We want to help you spread that philosophy to every school district in America. The proposed funding was substantial. Enough to hire a full team, develop comprehensive training programs, create resources for schools in underserved communities. It was everything I dreamed of when I'd first created the program. There's one condition, Dr. Morrison added. We'd like you to be the public face of this initiative. Speaking engagements, media appearances, the works. I know you've been avoiding most of that, but your voice matters right now. You have a platform. Use it. I thought about Khloe, about how she'd used her platform to sell a false narrative. About how I could use mine differently. I'll do it, I said, but on my terms. No manufactured drama. No exploiting my story for shock value. We focus on the message. Education matters. Integrity matters. People matter. Deal. 6 weeks later, I was speaking at a conference for women in architecture and design. Ironic, considering how it all started, but the organizers specifically wanted someone to talk about supporting partners in high-pressure careers without losing yourself. I was backstage reviewing my notes when the coordinator rushed over, looking panicked. Mr. Pierce, we have a situation. Khloe Pierce is here. She bought a ticket under a different name. Should we let her stay? I said. She has as much right to be here as anyone. The coordinator looked uncertain but nodded. I walked onto that stage knowing Khloe was in the audience. I didn't look for her. I didn't acknowledge her. I just told my story. The whole story, but from a different angle this time. I talked about the signs I'd missed. The gradual erosion of mutual respect. The moment when partnership became servitude. The difference between supporting someone's dreams and sacrificing your own identity. But I also talked about rebuilding. About finding yourself after losing yourself. About learning that your worth isn't determined by someone else's perception. The hardest lesson I learned, I said, looking out at the audience of successful women, was that I enabled my own diminishment. Every time I made myself smaller, I taught my ex-wife that it was okay to treat me as less than. Every time I accepted her definition of success over my own, I reinforced that her path was the only one that mattered. You can't blame yourself for someone else's cruelty, but you can take responsibility for the boundaries you didn't set, the respect you didn't demand, the voice you allowed to be silenced. I paused, letting that sink in. And here's the message for all of you. If you're in a relationship where your partner makes you feel small, where your accomplishments are diminished, where you're constantly told your dreams don't matter, leave. Not out of anger or spite, but out of self-preservation. You deserve someone who celebrates your wins as much as you celebrate theirs. But also, if you're the one making someone feel that way, stop. Success without compassion is just sophisticated cruelty. Ambition without integrity is empty. You can chase your dreams without crushing someone else's. The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone. As I left the stage, the coordinator intercepted me again. Khloe Pierce wants to speak with you. Privately. I should have said no. I should have walked away, let my public statements be the final word. But curiosity or maybe closure made me agree. She was waiting in a small conference room, standing by the window. She looked the same, perfectly styled, expensively dressed, completely in control of her presentation. But something was different. The armor had cracks. "Thank you for seeing me," she said. No preamble, no small talk. "Why are you here, Khloe?" "Because I owed you this. A real apology. Not a PR statement, not a legal settlement. Just the truth. I waited. I became my worst self with you," she said quietly. "Not because you made me, but because you let me. You were so understanding, so supportive, so willing to sacrifice. And instead of appreciating it, I exploited it." "You read the letter?" "I wrote it 8 years ago. I was arrogant and cruel and convinced that ruthlessness was strength." She finally looked at me. "You want to know the worst part? When you served me with those new divorce papers, when you finally stood up to me, that's when I respected you for the first time in years." "That's messed up, Khloe." "I know. I'm messed up. Therapy is helping me understand why. But understanding doesn't erase what I did." "Why now? Why come here? Why say this now?" She smiled sadly. "Because watching your video, hearing you talk about forgiveness and moving forward, I realized I never forgave myself. I need you to know that I see it now. What I threw away. What I destroyed. You were a good man, Williams. You deserved better than I gave you. Past tense. You're still a good man. Better, probably. But you're not mine anymore, and that's exactly as it should be." We stood there in silence. Two people who'd once promised forever now existing in separate universes. "I hope you find what you're looking for," I finally said. "I think I'm learning that what I was looking for was never what I needed." She moved toward the door, paused. "Your program, the mentorship thing, is brilliant. You're changing lives, Williams. More than I ever will with my buildings. Different kinds of impact. Both matter. Maybe. But only one leaves a legacy that actually means something." She opened the door. "Goodbye, Williams. Be happy. You've earned it." And she was gone. 10 years later, I'm standing on a stage accepting the Presidential Medal of Freedom for contributions to education. The Mentor Excellence Program now operates in all 50 states and has expanded to 12 countries. Over 5 million students have been matched with mentors who've helped them discover paths they never knew existed. Olivia is in the front row, beaming with pride. Our 2 children, 7-year-old Maya and 5-year-old Jordan, don't fully understand what's happening, but they know Daddy is being honored for helping kids like them. In my acceptance speech, I don't mention Khloe. I don't mention the divorce or the viral moment or any of the drama that brought me here, because that's not what matters. What matters is that a kid from the South Side who thought college was impossible just got accepted to Harvard because her mentor believed in her. What matters is that a young man who was about to drop out found his passion for engineering because someone took the time to show him what was possible. What matters is that millions of young people now have someone in their corner, fighting for their dreams. That night, as I'm putting Maya to bed, she asks me a question. "Daddy, what does success mean?" I think about Khloe and her tower. I think about the $33 million and the empire she built. I think about how none of it could buy her what I have in this moment. My daughter's hand in mine, my son's laughter from the next room, my wife's love, my work that matters. Success, I tell Maya, is when you go to bed at night knowing you made the world a little bit better, knowing you helped someone, knowing you were kind, knowing you were true to yourself. That's real success, baby girl. She thinks about this, then nods seriously. Like what you do with your students? Exactly like that. Then I want to be successful like you, Daddy. And in that moment I know I've won. Not against Khloe. Not against anyone. I've won at the only game that really matters. Building a life of meaning, purpose, and love. Khloe got her $33 million. Her towers still stand, monuments to her talent and ambition. But I got something infinitely more valuable. I got to discover who I really am. I got to build something that outlasts any building. I got to prove that the most important success can't be measured in dollars. I got to be enough. And that was everything. What did you learn from this story? Give us a thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. The end.